Welcome to another episode of the Fish and Coach Show. My name is Brandon Fisher. This is Coach Ratner. And today we're going to look into the number one way to be miserable in life.
Yeah, it's good to know what this number one thing is, because then you won't be miserable if you know not to do it.
That's true. Is it the same for everybody?
It's probably different for different people, but I think I know the answer to what I think it is, and I think it's people who look for perfection in everything.
Oh, that's a good one.
People are never satisfied with what they have in life. They're never satisfied with they go to dinner. They're always complaining. Their glass is dirty. Their fork's dirty. They just want perfection. Everything. They expect everything to be perfect, and they're never going to be happy.
It leads to total misery.
Yeah, because then you try to get married, and guess what? Not everyone's perfect, and they're going to find their spouse has faults they didn't know about, or their kids have faults, and they're never going to be happy with it.
What is perfect in life?
Well, there is no such thing as perfect. My point is that
there is no such thing as perfect.
No, it's all your perception.
Perception. I think that the pursuit of perfection will always disappoint.
Yeah, I laughed. We talked in a previous podcast about flying 40,000 feet, and I always people always complain. They'd make jokes about airline food. I think it's great. I think it's amazing. Like me sitting at 40,000 feet, going 600 miles an hour, and some lady brings me a hot plate of food. I think it's amazing. Even though the food's not that great, whatever, but it's still cool the fact that that's happening. And I look forward to it. I'm like, this is amazing. And I always go in with a positive attitude. Okay, the food's not great, but sometimes it is, and I enjoy myself.
They gave us Stroop waffles on one of my domestic flights.
What kind?
These are little Stroop waffles. They're not healthy. They're flat waffles.
Right.
They're delicious, though.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Anything unhealthy.
Domestic flights were not what we're talking about in terms of food, but it's still cool whenever they actually give you something.
Yeah. I saw a movie on a plane once, and it was called, it wasn't Castaway, it was called... with Madonna, and she was on a desert island with this guy, with her ex-husband in real life, and the movie was totally panned, like the worst movie of the I think the 90s was called, and I enjoyed the movie. I didn't know it was the worst movie. I was kind of stupid, but I still enjoyed it. Now, if a person who's looking for perfection and never happy in life, you're like, oh, the stupidest movie is dumb, you're not going to enjoy it.
I've suggested movies to my friends before, and before they would agree to watch it, they had to look up the Rotten Tomatoes, and if that wasn't so good, then they would look up 3 other sources. It's like, guys, I enjoy this movie. Do you want to watch it with me or not? Yeah. It's not a perfect movie.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I think personally, looking for perfection makes people miserable in their life, but also people judge people not favorably. Like they're always looking at what is wrong with somebody instead of looking at their positive traits or looking at their negative traits, which makes people miserable because they're never happy. Oh, that guy's, he's not nice, or that guy's that, and this guy's this, and my wife does this, and my husband does that, and then they're never going to be happy. And this is why you have a lot of, unfortunately, broken marriages. And
relationships with kids are also strained through
very
things
strained
like this.
Because they're looking for...
The kids are not perfect.
No, they're not.
Humans are perfect.
Every kid is different, and you have to treat them differently. You never say to your children, why aren't you like your brother Joey? It's one of the worst things you can say.
Right.
And what's more important than saying I love you to your kids is saying I understand you. Because that's more important for you to be able to understand who they are and where they're coming from. Same thing with your spouse. Same thing, all your relationships. Everyone's different. And you have to look at the positive traits of every single person and don't expect perfection from everybody, especially yourself. There are people who rail on themselves when they make mistakes, which, listen, we all make mistakes. No one makes mistakes. Right. I make plenty of mistakes in these podcasts saying things, and I could sit there and just oh my gosh, I made such a big mistake. I shouldn't be doing this. And, I don't do that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to continue to make mistakes. I'm going to try not to make them, but it's not going to be perfect. But like on our previous podcast, we're always going to be moving forward and trying to improve it and trying to make it better and more interesting.
Right. Growth happens in the trenches of mistakes.
Right.
When you're not perfect, then you're learning how to be better and you're receiving feedback.
Right.
And that propels you way farther.
Because no one wants to be miserable. Who wants to be miserable in life? Just look at life. Life is unbelievable. Life is amazing. Don't look for perfection. You're not perfect. Your wife or husband isn't perfect. Your kids aren't perfect. Judge them favorably. Judge everyone favorably, and you'll be much happier in life.
Coach, when I saw this podcast title, I was going to argue that I think the number one way to be miserable in life is living a life scared, of fear.
Sure.
But you've convinced me, then, without even arguing about it.
Fear is a big thing, but
fear is rooted in that fear of not being perfect, maybe messing up. So really what we're saying here...
Or fear of fear. Fear of the fact that you might get scared.
Fear or that you might fail or that you might mess up or that... Because you will mess up because life isn't perfect. So
Right.
you have to try and not let that fear inhibit you.
Yeah.
So it all roots back to perfection.
Yes, it does.
Right.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, the pursuit of perfection will always disappoint. Thank you for watching the Fish and Coach Show.
I'll see you next time.